following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
All right, rock and roll. It's time. It's Tuesday. It's awesome. It's an awesome day because we get to record our newest episode of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts. To my right is a man who Aaron Boone told him the other day looked like crap in that uniform. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are you doing today?
Doing all right, man. I'm taking shots from all sides. Once Daniel Smooth on Seahawks session, he was worried about my general exhausted looking appearance, and I told him, no, I'm just old. And now Boone's coming at me for my uniform. I got no shot. No shot.
I'll have to tell you the context after we do our business, but how are you tonight?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself? I'm ready to go.
Doing pretty well, get through the work day. And then I actually treated myself to something I haven't had in a long time. I haven't had Moe's.
Oh, man.
In a very long time. And I didn't realize how much they changed everything. There's no more Joey Bag of Donuts. There's no more Close Talker. It's just burritos, bowls, quesadillas. It's like there's no special name to it. It's like,
all right, so they got rid of
corporatized,
so you don't have to go in and be like, I'll have the Al Pacino.
Yeah. I was really looking forward to saying, yeah, I want Joey Bag of Donuts.
What was the Joey Bag of Donuts?
It was just a regular burrito.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, and then the Close Talker with the jalapenos and guacamole. Then he had the home wrecker, which actually the home wrecker is still up there.
Oh, okay.
Everything
that
else,
one I remember. I haven't had Moe's in years. I'm talking about I haven't had it in a long time. What happened is a former coworker of mine was like really into it. So I think I had it a lot and just got burned out on it. So then I didn't want, I purposely avoided it. But shout out to places that always make you say weird names when you go up. There was one place, it's not here anymore, but they had a sandwich that was called the Hot Italian Lover, and I always felt a little subconscious when I'd order that one. You have to call up and be like, I'll have the Hot Italian Lover, and invariably they'd snicker at you.
Well, I mean, don't we all?
Yeah.
Monica Bellucci, how you doing? All right, well, as you can see in our title, tonight is our Major League Baseball preview for 2025. It's 2 days to opening day. I just renewed my MLB.TV subscription because I get it for free from T-Mobile. Shout out to T-Mobile.
Nice.
We're not selling out. We're buying in. So if you want to sponsor us, T-Mobile,
come on.
Our door's open. And we'll reveal our picks for our favorite athletes to wear the number 22. But before we go on with the show, just want to remind you to please check us out on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Search No Credentials Required. Also check out our other podcasts and articles available on bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and also you can listen on YouTube and get notified on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when the live show goes up, when you have show announcements, and other various things. But yeah, hit that notification bell. That way you're properly notified. And on the podcast side, rate and review. A 5-star rating would be helpful. If you are on a platform where you can review, leave us a review. And also, if you're on Spotify, leave us a comment. Also, because it's a live show, Tuesdays at 6:30 Eastern, Saturdays at 10 o'clock Eastern, at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern. That's the Saturday brunch show. leave us a comment. Leave us a comment in the comment section as a live show. Also on the Belly Up YouTube page, leave us a comment there if you hear something that's out of pocket from one of us, or you just want to comment on the show. Leave us one below. And we're a live show again. We're a live show on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Although next week things will change. I'll make an announcement at the end about that. But it's a certain time of the show where certain jingle jangle comes out.
I do believe it's chime time.
It certainly is. All right, so we are going to reveal our picks for the American League, the National League, every single division. I'm going to do a little extra credit with my picks for MVP, Cy Young, and Rookie of the Year. We're also going to reveal our pennant picks. We're going to reveal our division winners, our pennant picks, our wild cards, and we'll also reveal who will win the World Series in 2025. And we're going to start off in our favorite division, our preferred division, the American League East. And that's where our New York Yankees currently are, or actually will always be.
Yeah.
Unless something really, really drastically happens in the next couple of years that Rob Manfred's in power. But the American League, we know it well because we're both New York Yankees fans. But Dustin, I'm going to have you lead off with the American League East and what you think about this division. We'll keep it to about roughly 5 to 7 minutes per division.
Okay.
So why don't you go ahead and lead us off with your thoughts on what you think what the American League East landscape could look like, according to you, in 2025.
All right. First off, let me say that these are all off the hip and my more than sizable gut that I currently have, but we're looking on changing that, getting back in shape. Maybe it'll coincide with the baseball season. So I'll keep this relatively brief. I'm going to run through the standings. I have the Orioles narrowly edging out the New York Yankees, our beloved New York Yankees, for the AL East crown. So I got the Orioles and Yanks finishing 1 and 2 respectively. Then I have Boston in third, which I think might surprise some people, but I like some of Boston's signings. Bregman, as much as I don't like him sometimes, he's good. I think their pitching is going to be better than people think. And also, Alex Cora is a great manager. He will have them in contention. The Rays, I just don't think they're going to be able to keep the pieces together. And they always seem to overperform. They have openers. They do crazy things. But I think this is the season where it doesn't work out for them. They finish in fourth for me. And then rounding out the division is the Toronto Blue Jays. I just have a feeling about this team. Yeah, they have Vlad, but some of their other supposed stars have underperformed. Their pitching, I don't believe in Kevin Gausman this year. Jose Barrios or Barrios, I never know how to say it because I've heard it both ways. I really liked him when he was with the Twins, but it's safe to say he's not that version anymore. So I don't know. I just have a feeling that the wheels could come off for the Jays. I've got them finishing at the bottom of this division. So with that, I guess, are we going division by division? Now you're doing AL East? All right.
Yes, we're doing division by division. Yes.
I pass it back to you then, sir.
All right. So we've got pretty much a duplicate division. And I know it's boring, yes, but I've got my reasons. All right. So I did my research on Sunday, spent my time at Treehouse Brewing in Saratoga, had a couple slices of pizza, which is I didn't know what to think about their pizza. I wasn't sure about the pizza when I walked in, but it's legit.
Yeah, based on the pictures, I've got to try that. We're doing no credentials required meetup at Treehouse. All right, Let's get this going. Let's get some local cred heads out there.
Yeah, let's do it. So I had a couple of beers. And I'm like, all right, I'm inspired. I'm gonna do my research for the preview show here. So this is a couple beers in. So this is Ryan's couple beers in baseball preview. All right, so here we go. American League East. Baltimore I think it's Baltimore's. I think this division is Baltimore's to win. Even though they lose to Corbin Burns, who lost in the free agency, they went all in with him last year, picking him up from Milwaukee. Got him for his season. Didn't quite work out the way they hoped it would. He's in Arizona. And Anthony Santander, he's now in Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto severely overpaid for him, but
yeah, he's streaky, but also it did surprise me that he went to Toronto. I don't.
Yeah. So, but hey, you get what you get in free agency. So, but I think they have enough in the pitching department and in the batting department, especially batting. If we get a full season of Jackson Holiday, if he lives up to the hype that he was presented with when he was called up last year, and you've got Adley much room behind the plate, they'll do okay. They'll do okay, especially, I mean, even without Anthony Santander, they're okay offensively. Right behind them is the New York Yankees. Just a little caveat to the Orioles. This season will be judged by what they do in the playoffs, because last 2 seasons they moved on to the divisional round. Or they were in the wild card. The wild card round. They were backhanded aside last year by Kansas City in 2 straight.
Yeah.
They were backhanded by Texas in the divisional round in 2023. So this season is going to be judged on not what they do in the regular season, but it's going to be judged by what happens in the postseason. And they have to advance in order to be considered a contender for 2026, or for even this season.
Mm-hmm.
Second place, Yankees. The season will go as far as how they can exist without Juan Soto, who went across town to the Mets, and without Garrett Cole, who is lost for the season and beyond with Tommy John surgery. They did pick up Ryan Yarbrough from Tampa Bay. He was a free agent. Picked him up as a left-hander. He'll be in the lineup on opening day. Carlos Rodon will be this opening day starter on Thursday. Yes. Oh, and I forgot they also don't have Luis Gil until June with a lateral strain. Aaron Judge will carry this team again offensively, but I want to see if he shows up in October, because last season from the beginning of May through September and bled into a little bit of October, he was absolutely on fire. Almost broke his own single season record for home runs.
Yeah.
Then October arrived and he was on a milk carton.
Yeah. Stanton saved the Yankees in the postseason,
and Soto
for reasons, yes, obviously, and Soto, but for reasons Stanton's not going to be there for large chunks, and that's some of my concern. And also, call me pessimistic, but it puts a lot on Max Fried. I don't know if the Yankees are going to have the starting pitching, but I'm also interested to hear what you think, if you've thought about it, Ryan. Jasson Dominguez, how much can he pick up the offensive slack? Because I'm hoping that he can do some of that.
We'll talk about him momentarily.
All right.
So moving on, Boston seems to be the sexy pick for a lot of people for this division. But it all hinges on their pitching. They picked up Garrett Crochet from the White Sox, the only good White Sox player other than Luis Robert Jr. For that White Sox lineup. They traded for him over the offseason. The pitching looked disappointed down the stretch last season. They were in the wild card spot for a good portion of last year, but they kind of fell off because of their pitching didn't show up. So I want to see what happens with Garrett Crochet carrying that squad. The Rays, they're playing their home games this year at George Steinbrenner Field because of the hurricane that moved through and basically tore apart the roof of Tropicana Field. They're playing all 81 home games at George Steinbrenner Field. However, it's an outdoor field.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know how many games are going to get rained out. There's a potential for a lot of rainouts, a lot of double headers, and that's going to make an impact on a team for the entire season. But I think they still finish 4th because Toronto, it's they're one of those teams, like, they had so much potential. And I'm wondering if this could be the last season we see Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette in the same lineup, because the Blue Jays tried to extend Vlad Guerrero Jr. He said absolutely not. I think he likely gets traded out of Toronto towards the trade deadline. Same with Bo Bichette. They have to blow it up and start all over again because this team had so much promise with their hit, and especially and also with Kevin Biggio, who they traded to Kansas City last year at the trade deadline. He's doing pretty well in Kansas City. So I think this is the last time you see this young core of Blue Jays until next season. I think they have to blow it up and start all over again, which is which is, if you're a Blue Jays fan, you gotta be disappointed. But
Yeah,
they could surprise. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and Bo Bichette, he just hasn't really been able to take off and develop into the player that I think a lot of people thought he could be yet. But there's still time. But I'm with you. I don't think it happens in Toronto. Not with Vlad and he together. You can't keep them both.
No, you can't keep them both. And who knows where Vlad Guerrero could go? I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Trade deadline is in July, so let's see what happens there. Now, American League Central. I'll lead off here with the American League Central.
All right.
I have it Cleveland, Kansas City, Detroit, Minnesota, and then the White Sox.
Oh man.
You've got Cleveland, Kansas City, Detroit, Minnesota, 500 feet of crap, Chicago White Sox.
Oh,
Let's put it that way. So here's the reasons why I have this where it is. It's going to be a close division.
Yeah.
We saw 3 teams from that division went to the playoffs last year. Cleveland won the division. Kansas City, I think Detroit, and then Kansas City were the other 2 teams that they were wild cards, but I forgot the draft. I forgot the order. But the Guardians, I think their pitching is too good to keep them out of first place. And they went a lot further than people expected last year. They went all the way to the ALCS, lost to our Yankees in 5, although they were scrappy throughout, man. And they gave the Yankees a heck of a fight every single game, including Game 5, which was the penultimate game. Jose Ramirez, great player. He's the only guy I can name in the batting lineup for that team. And they had the scratch and claw for runs in 2024. So let's see what happens in 2025. The Royals, I have them finishing second. Again, this is a close division, so this could be for the gap between first and fourth is going to be single digits for sure. So Kansas City, I have them in second. They're on the cusp of dominating this division for years to come. 2024 is a big step forward, and they improved by leaps and bounds. They had over 100 losses in 2023, and they made the playoffs in 2024. Yeah. They made the leap a year earlier than expected of a young core with Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez. They lead the offense. They have Cole Ragans powering their pitching. So I think if they add another arm towards the trade deadline, I think that team has the potential to make some noise. But speaking of teams that made some noise last year, the Detroit Tigers. Mm-hmm. I'm sure Julie from Michigan has her ears ringing somewhere. She's going to be tuning in any second now about her Detroit Tigers. Yeah. They were also another big surprise in 2024 because they were rebuilding for so long.
Yeah.
Especially over the last half decade. Now, this offseason, they added former Yankees Gleyber Torres, and they bring in Tommy Kahnle for depth, and they brought back Jack Flaherty to their rotation. Because remember last year, the trade deadline, they traded him to the Dodgers. They traded him to the Dodgers, thinking, and this is when fans were thinking, oh, it's over, and we're not going to be able to make the playoffs. And then August hit, and they caught fire, and they went all the way. They forced a 5-game series out of Cleveland, and shocked Detroit. They shocked Texas. They shocked Houston in the wild card. Mm-hmm. So this is a team that could make some noise too. And right after them, I had the Twins. They were super disappointing in 2024. A lot of that had to do with injuries to Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton. I think if the Twins stay healthy, they could possibly win this division too. Then you had the White Sox. Last year, they lost 121 games, so it really can't get any worse, can it? Well, I don't think they'll lose 121 games. They're going to be in the Central Division basement for at least another season. They got some young players developing. I can't name anyone on their roster currently outside of outside of Robert or Luis Robert.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
actually, is he still with the team?
I believe he is.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say I believe he is. Um.
Your
Well,
thoughts?
well, this is a division where we have a couple of different thoughts, but I also feel that it's going to be a close division. So don't despair, people. But I do have the Royals taking this division this year for the reasons you've laid out. They have some. They have some talent, and the aforementioned. These aren't your father's Royals. You know, the
Yeah.
Royals of like 2003, 2001, whatever. They do have some talent, and you mentioned it. They have Raglan's. He leads their pitching staff again for me this year. I think it's enough to overtake the Tigers, who I have finishing in second this season, riding the momentum from last season. I like some of their additions. I like the fact that they brought Flaherty back to the pitching staff. Hopefully, Tariq Skubal is completely healthy because he is as dominant as any starter in this league when he is healthy. So, I really have a lot of faith in Skubal this year. I think that this division, like you said, I felt that it could be a close division. I do have the Guardians finishing in third. I think they take a little bit of a step back this year. I think they miss the playoffs. I just, again, it's just a gut feeling I have. I don't really have a whole bunch to go off of here. Yes, they do have the pitching, but I think offensively, some of the other teams in this division have surpassed them. The Twins, my thoughts mirror yours almost exactly. The Twins have talent. There's no denying that. There is no denying that at all. But they are always injured. You mentioned Byron Buxton. I can't remember when Byron Buxton last had a healthy season and put it all together. He is always hurt. Also, Royce Lewis developed into a bona fide star last year. He was unbelievable until he got hurt. He is already hurt now. Brooks Lee is also already hurt. I just feel, and they're also to replace Royce Lewis at third base to start the season. I believe it might be Miranda, but I don't know who. He's shown flashes at certain points. They have talent that comes up from the minors when they need it, or is on the roster and just doesn't pan out. Edouard Julien was once a highly regarded prospect for the Twins, but he hasn't exactly put it together. So the Twins have talent undeniably, but I just think they're going to be bit by the injury bug hard again this year, and it's already happening. It's already happening with Royce Lewis and Brooks Lee. So it's tough. And then you got the White Sox. I like you. I think they will improve a little bit. I mean, there's nowhere to go but up from where the last season was. And I just feel like, but they're still going to be in last for this division. I think that's what's going to happen. I see no reason for them to make a marked improvement from this year to last. They won't lose as many games as last year, but that social media person, I think it's going to be another long season in Chicago for the White Sox.
So, Dustin, I was just checking social media real quick while you were riffing on the American League Central. We have some breaking news.
Oh man.
And it's from the NFL. So here we go. Breaking news,
wow.
Booker. Go, go, go. According to Adam Schefter, excuse me. I'm Schefter, not Scheffler. God. Craig Scheffler. God almighty. New York Giants and Russell Wilson.
Oh.
To a 1-year contract worth up to $21 million, including $10.5 million guaranteed.
Oh my goodness. It's Russell and Jameis.
Oh man.
No. Oh man, I got to text Uncle Al after this one. I got to ask him. I got to go. Who would you rather
Dude,
have
I say no,
start?
text him now and see what his reaction is.
Oh man. Oh man, I will text him immediately. But
While you do that,
yes, I was going to say preview the next.
I will preview the American League West.
Yes.
Now, everyone's sexy pick, and I'm falling into this because it's a competitive division between three teams, but everyone's sexy pick for the 2025 season, as far as division winner goes, is the Texas Rangers. I'm one of those people who have fallen into that trap because last year was nothing short of disappointing after a World Series championship because they had a lot of health issues, especially on their pitching staff. Well, this year they bring back Jacob deGrom. He's finally healthy, and I believe Kumar Rocker, once of the Tri-City Valley Cats, could be a difference maker in the rotation. I have them in first place. Second place, I have Seattle. I have your Seattle Mariners. Well, not your Seattle Mariners, but your Seattle Mariners. I had them finishing second place. Last year they missed out in the playoffs. I think they could make a nice little run towards the playoffs this year. They have a lot of things to happen. I don't think they'll be a wild card, but I think it's going to be another close race once again in that division, and also with the wild card standing. Bold prediction for third place: the Houston Astros, and I'll tell you why. I think Father Time is catching up to the Astros. They lost Alex Bregman. They lost Kyle Tucker. They trade Kyle Tucker to the Cubs.
Yep.
But I don't think they'll have it. I don't think they've lost enough to keep them out of the playoff picture. They still have strong pitching. They still have Yordan Alvarez. You can hit the ball a mile. He'll keep them in the lineup. He'll keep them very interesting offensively for the Astros. But I don't know about their pitching. I'm kind of suspect about their pitching. The Athletics, not the Oakland A's, the Athletics, as they will be now known for the next 2 seasons while they are play at a minor league ballpark in Sacramento. 2 years ago, they were the worst team in baseball. Last year, they exceeded expectations. They have a core group of talent like Mason Miller, Lawrence Butler, and Brent Rooker. And I think the homeless A's could have the possibility of making some like their way up to possibly contend for a wild card. And this is 2 years removed from being the worst team in baseball. All those being said, what about the Angels? What's left to say about the Angels? Will Mike Trout be able to remain healthy for the entire season? And here's the thing about Mike Trout. Time's running out for him. And we all considered him the best player in baseball over the last decade or so, but he's now 33. He's coming off a calf injury from last season. Will he stay healthy enough to be a trade deadline? To see somebody who gets talked about the trade deadline, and we've all talked about him.
Yeah.
We've linked him to other teams like his hometown Philadelphia Phillies. He's a New Jersey kid, though. He's a New Jersey kid, but he grew up watching the Phillies. So could you see him in the same lineup as a Bryce Harper and Trey Turner? We don't know. But I think if he remains healthy enough and he has more than impressive stats, I think he gets moved at the trade deadline. Dustin, your thoughts about the American League West?
All right. Before I get into those, I do have a response from Uncle Al. He was on it. So I texted him Russell Wilson to the Giants, 1-year deal, and he just put what with a bunch of question marks. And then he said, so Wilson and Jameis Winston, this has bridge QB written all over it.
My goodness.
He said, I think they may be holding out for Arch Manning. Who knows? I mean, he might be onto something there. So those are his reaction thoughts live on the podcast. And now on to my AL West preview. Ryan, it's funny. It's funny because we did not talk to each other about our previews,
No, he
but
didn't.
we have similar thoughts on all the divisions so far, except in the AL West, I have the Mariners edging out the Rangers. I think the Mariners.
Oh.
I think that their Logan Gilbert develops into that ace they need him to be. He's shown flashes at times. I think they have enough pitching and talent to get it done. I think this is the year that they win the division. But I, like you, the Rangers, I think they could make some noise this season because you mentioned Kumar Rocker. Let's talk about his spring. Look up his spring stats. He has been pitching. He started out a little rocky, if memory serves, but he pitched very well as of late. And I think he could be a difference maker on their staff, along with a healthy Jacob deGrom. Now, you might say deGrom is like 30 some odd years old. He may even be 40. I can't remember his age. I think he's like 39, 38, something like that.
He's 36.
Okay, 36. So I'm sorry, Jacob. I gave you a few extra years there. But yes, he's had injuries, but he says, and I get it. Everybody in spring says I'm healthy now. I'm in the best shape of my life, quote unquote. It's a running joke among pundits like us and podcasters and things. Everybody says they're feeling great before the season starts. But he also has been working on new pitches and figuring out how to deceive batters. I can't remember the pitch that he's working on, but he was working on a new pitch. And people forget how good he is because when you're injured, people forget about you.
Yep.
Jake Grom still had it. Let's not forget, he looked good for the Rangers when he pitched for them. So I think they could make some noise, like you said, but I have the Mariners winning this division. The Astros, I have almost the exact same thoughts as you do. I just think that it's finally catching up with them. The players that are still there are getting older. And also, let's not forget, with their success, they've played a lot of extra games on the end of the season. The postseason takes it out of you. But I just don't know. I don't think they have enough to compete anymore. Like you said, their pitching is going to keep them afloat, but offensively, I don't think some of the players that they have left are what they used to be, especially at second base. But that's neither here nor there. He's getting older, people. I understand he's great, but he's getting older. So then after that, here's where we get a little different again. You have the Rangers winning this division. I have the Mariners. But I have the Angels and the Athletics flipped. I just think that the Athletics are going to be dealing with so much and the impending move, and they just won't really have a home for the next. And also their owner, we already know what type he is. He's not going to invest in the team at all. They're not going to go get anybody at the deadline if they do have a surprising start. They're not going to. I think they just won't have enough. Now, Mason Miller is one of the most electric arms to watch come out of the bullpen. It's fantastic. I had him on my fantasy team last year. He was great for saves. But I have the Angels finishing above them, but barely. There's just not. I'm sorry, Dr. Lady, but there is not much to look forward. I know that you support the Dodgers as well, and it's a good thing you do because Angels-wise, I don't even have a sense of their team. I just know Mike Trout won't leave there when everyone wants him to. Everyone wants him to, but he doesn't want to leave. And I just don't think they have enough to compete in this division at all.
Got comments in the comment section. Snowman Chicken saying, hey, sports ball. I think Ryan and I do a game tomorrow. What? A black man that can do play-by-play for hockey? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, man. What game are you doing play-by-play for?
Well, if I still had Fubo, my dad unfortunately canceled it because of football season being done. If I had Fubo, yes, we'd be doing the Blackhawks Devils game, but unfortunately, I don't have a source for watching the game, so we might have to shelf that for another couple of months, Mr. Snowman. But hey, guarantee we'll do some. Now that I have my subscription to MLB.TV back up, let's do some alternative play-by-play for some baseball games during the summer and spring.
Oh yeah, no, that could be good. I'd rather listen to your dulcet tones, Snowman, and also you, Ryan, over some of the other announcers that they
Hey,
get
you might
to
have, you
do
might have to jump
games.
in.
Oh
Jump in
man,
too.
I don't know if I would have. I don't know if I would have much to add to that.
And he
I
says,
could talk about
done.
best ballpark snacks.
There you go. And he says, done. So,
Yeah.
hey, let's get at it this year. All right, we're going to take our network mandated commercial break. But when we come back, oh, wait, already. He says, already got Monday Night Baseball on the docket. Let's do it. All right.
Oh,
You're on.
nice.
You're on. I can't guarantee I'll make every Monday game, but we'll see. We'll talk. We'll talk on the side. All right, we're going to take our network mandated commercial break. When we come back, we'll preview the National League. We'll also talk about our pennant winners, our wild card and divisional winners, our World Series winners, and I'll do a little extra credit. So, and our favorite athletes to ever wear the number 22. So stand by, stay tuned for more No Credentials Required.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
It's been a while since we talked about SeatGeek on the OG show, No Credentials Required. Baseball season's coming up, and guess where you can get your tickets at the best prices? That's right, folks, at SeatGeek. And we have an offer with SeatGeek as one of our premier partners at Belly Up Sports, where you save $20 off your order of $50 or more with promo code BellyUpSports at checkout. So what you want to do is go to SeatGeek.com. You want to use their tool search to get the best prices for the best seats in the house. And then you're going to use that promo code BellyUpSports at checkout for $20 off your order $50 or more. But it's not just baseball tickets. NHL season's wrapping up, so the playoffs are right around the corner. I believe they could also get college football, college basketball. The Final Four is coming up pretty soon. Probably get tickets for that. We'll be in San Antonio this year. But it's not just, I guess the NBA too. I don't know. But it's not
Always
just
so
sporting events.
dismissive.
I am dismissive. I'm not a big fan.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just sporting events. You can also get tickets for concerts, for comedy shows, for the theater, for anything that has a box office seat that requires a box office ticket. You can find it at SeatGeek.com. Use that pricing tool. Find yourself the best tickets, and then you save $20 off your order, $50 or more. Promo code BellyUp at checkout, BellyUpSports at checkout. You save a little cash, you'll get yourself a nice concession. So use that promo code at checkout.
Yeah, and we are men of our word because we've both used that promo code to go to Adirondack Thunder games, and it saves us money.
That's right. Get an extra power play Pilsner.
Yeah, that's right.
Concession.
Yeah.
Great beer. All right, continuing our baseball preview, where you move over to the National League. We talk about the National League East, and since you got to get your news from your uncle Dustin, I'm going to have you lead off with the National League East and your thoughts about that division.
All right, the NL East. This division, I think I've got it very close between three teams. So once I unveil these, Phillies fans, don't be mad at me. Just because I have them finishing third does not mean that I think they're going to be trash this year. Okay, so the NL East, I'm going off instinct here. I think the Atlanta Braves take this one. I think the Atlanta Braves take this division. I think they're just too good. Ronald Acuna, I think he's going to come back. I think he's going to be healthy. It might take him some time to get going. Ozzie Albies, I think he's going to bounce back. Their pitching always seems to be good. Atlanta in recent years always seems to find somebody that comes out of nowhere that you don't expect. And I think that trend continues. Charlie Morton, who's no longer there, he's on another team this year, which I'll get to later. Yep. But he was good for the Braves. He just popped up out of nowhere for the Braves, I remember. I think they're going to have a similar type season. They're going to be able to do enough offensively and score enough runs, provided everyone stays healthy and provided Acuna comes back to the form that we're accustomed to seeing him at. I think this is the Braves division. Finishing right behind them is the New York Mets, the Nye Mets, as they were once referred to on The Simpsons. They're not my favorite squadron, but I think they finish in second in this division. They just have talent. Francisco Lindor, everybody's going to say, it's going to be May, it's going to be late May, and people are going to be like, they overpaid Lindor, he's not doing well, and then all of a sudden he's going to catch fire. He's streaky, he's good. I think they've got some pitchers that could be sneaky good if they stay healthy. Sean Manaea, as I say that, I understand that he's not healthy right now, but I don't think he's going to be out for too long. I think the Mets, they have enough talent. They'll be able to put it together, and they re-signed the first baseman, Pete Alonso. I think Pete Alonso, he might have a good reunion with the Mets. It didn't really work out when he left there, but maybe he kind of has a resurgence returning to New York. So I got the Mets in second. That leaves the Phillies and all their offensive talent in third. I think eventually the hitting is just going to fail. Trey Turner, he's kind of slumped a little bit. From where he is, Trey Turner's still a very good player, but he hasn't exactly been as amazing as he's been in past seasons, if memory serves. And Bryce Harper. And I think offensively they're going to be good enough, but I just don't think they can beat the other two teams. I think the Mets and the Braves have more ways to win. Kyle, what's his last name?
Schwarber.
Man. Yeah, Kyle Schwarber. That's where I don't think he's going to be able to provide the power that he has in past years. He started out slow last season, but then kind of picked it up, if I remember. I don't think he's going to be able to do that this season. It's just a feeling I have. The Marlins finishing fourth in this.
Wow.
I think they
really
fourth, because the wheels always seem to come off for the Marlins somehow. Yes, they have pitching, but Yuri Perez is out. And he could be out, I think, until July. He's coming back from Tommy John. I think he's very talented, but who knows what version of him comes back. Max Meyer, I don't know if he'll put it together. I don't know. And just offensively, they've never had enough to support the pitching to keep themselves in games. Jazz Chisholm is gone now. He was one of the main offensive threats in their lineup, and he was even inconsistent at times. So I just feel like the Marlins, fourth place for me, and then the Nationals, Mackenzie Gore. They've got some pieces there, but the Nationals are just rebuilding. They're trying to acquire assets. They've made some trades. They have some of the most highly regarded prospects in baseball, but when they have come up, they haven't really. James Woods comes to mind, I believe. They haven't really caught fire the way that some people.
Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy.
That's all I could ever think when I see his name. I had to stop myself from doing it. I'm so glad you picked up my slack. But from the sounds of it, your NL East standings might be a little different than mine, Ryan. So I'm gonna pass it over to you.
We have our top men on top of it, Lois. What do you mean? Top men. My NL East looks similar to you until it comes to fourth place, but I want to give my thoughts about this division.
All right.
And last year, everything that could go wrong went wrong for the Braves last year.
Yeah.
They were predicted to compete for the NL pennant, but everybody comes back healthy this year, minus Max Fried, and also minus Ian Anderson, a former Shenandoah Plainsman. Yes, I'm still referring to them as the Plainsmen. Don't like it. Find another show. Ian Anderson, I don't know if you caught that news, was traded to Baseball Purgatory West, which is known as the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. So he gets to start his career anew there. But the Braves, they return a healthy rotation. They added AJ Smith-Shawver, Ronald Acuna is back in full form. He tore his ACL last year, was only limited to, I think, 49 games. I think he only played 49 games. So he was out for the year, but he's back and healthy. Again, like you mentioned, Dustin Ronald Albies is also in that lineup.
Yep, Ozzy Albies. Yep.
Right behind them, I think it will be the Mets. And they decided to go spending this offseason. They bring in Juan Soto. And I think he's going to take a tremendous pressure off of Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso. And yeah, like you said, Dustin, the whole thing with Pete Alonso, he didn't quite get what he thought he would get in free agency, but 2 years and $54 million, it's still pretty nice.
Yeah. Nothing to sneeze at. I'd take it.
And he'll probably, and if it doesn't work out this year, he can go to Los Angeles next year and be a Dodger like everybody else is. But he takes a tremendous load off of him, Soto does. I mean, takes a load off Lindor and Alonso. I think he's going to carry a good chunk of the offense. Let's see what their pitching can do. Can their pitching will a grimace bump carry on into this season?
That was amazing last year.
It was. Right behind them, I have the Phillies, and we mentioned their pitch. You talked about their lineup. Great, strong rotation. Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. They've got Bryce Harper. They got Trey Turner. If things don't work out with Kyle Schwarber, and like I said in the AL West preview, if Mike Trout stays healthy enough, I think he joins the Phillies by the trade deadline. And I think he rejuvenates himself, goes through the rejuvenation machine, goes home, and helps the Phillies and pushes them forward to possible wild card spot.
Okay. All right.
Now I have the Nationals in fourth place because I think the Nationals are maybe a season, maybe 2 seasons away from playoff contention.
Okay.
I think they have enough prospects. They got CJ Abrams, James Wood. They're leading the offense. Can't really name a pitcher off the top of my head, but I think offensively they're getting back to form. Not quite the 2019 form, where they had Anthony Rendon, who is currently wasting the money of Angels management. That's a sad tale in itself. But they're getting there. They're getting there. I think Nationals Park is going to be rocking again in October. Not this season. Maybe next season, maybe the season afterwards. We'll see.
Still got to catch a game at Nationals Park. I've heard it's nice, but they've got the according to my friend that used to live there, he hasn't lived there for many years, but I will always do this. They have a restaurant in there, or at least had a restaurant called Intentional Walk. I love that. I love that. Sorry to interrupt you. Your thoughts on the Marlins, sir?
Oh, there's no specific mention of an intentional walk.
Oh man, that is.
But I'll have to find out. Yeah, it's a concessions guide. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And then the Marlins. Why do they exist? Again, tell me why they exist again. And this team's in full teardown mode after the new Derek Jeter era. And there's, Dustin rattled off some names. I'll rattle off one. Connor Norby. He's a rookie to watch this year. I have him on my fantasy baseball team, but there are no noticeable stars to speak of on this squad because they traded Sandy Alcantara to St. Louis.
Yep.
But you know what? At least there will be plenty of cheap seats at Lone Depot Park. That $500 million boondoggle they call Lone Depot Park.
Circling Marlin after the home runs or whatever.
Oh my gosh. All right, we're going to move on to the National League Central. I'll offer my thoughts on this division first. Here's what I got for the standings. I've got the Chicago Cubs finishing first place. I have Minnesota right behind them, St. Louis, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh. I think this year the Cubs might finally get over that hump. They haven't really been able to find the winning stride since they won the 2016 World Series. They weren't quite in teardown mode, but they've been trying to rebuild themselves to become a winner again. I think the Kyle Tucker trade was huge in getting them some offensive help, but their standing, it all depends on starting pitching. It needs to be consistent for the entire season. Then I got Milwaukee. And this is going to be another close division too, I think, between Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Louis. Brewers lost a lot of pieces over the offseason. They traded Devin Williams to the Yankees. They lost who did they lose to the Giants? They lost Willie Adames. He went to the Giants. But they still have enough. I think they still have enough. They have Reese Hoskins coming back to the lineup. I still think this is a pretty good team. Now, they can get past the divisional or the wild card. We don't know. They got shocked by the Mets last year in the wild card in 3 games, and even after the division win, they still lost that. They still lost in the wild card. Cardinals, they retooled their starting pitching. They added, as I mentioned before, the former Marlins Sandy Alcantara. But will they win enough to convince Nolan Arenado to stay for a potential push for the playoffs? Because there were so many rumors going around that he could be headed out of St. Louis.
Yep.
He's 33 years old at the start of the season, considered arguably one of the best third basemen defensively in Major League Baseball for the last 25 years. So we'll see where he goes. He was linked to the Yankees at one time during spring training, but I think those talks have cooled off significantly. But if St. Louis can't quite get in the wild card picture, I think he might be traded at the trade deadline too. What can you say? Let's talk about the Pirates and the Reds. I was high on them. It's funny. The last 2 seasons, we've talked about them on this show.
Yeah.
But they always seem to tail off at the wrong times. Pirates. I'm sorry. The Cubs. The Reds. God, I always have so much hope for these 2 teams. Both are still a year away from contending. A wild card could be imminent for Cincinnati, especially if Ellie De La Cruz has a huge season behind the plate. And by that, I mean he maintains plate discipline. We know he can steal bases. We know he can hit home runs, but he is really terrible at plate discipline. In Pittsburgh, they've got 3 future aces: Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, Jared Jones, but they need more offensive depth past Brian Reynolds and O'Neal Cruz to ever consider making noise in that division, let alone a wild card. So, Dustin, handing it over to you. What's your thoughts on National League Central?
All right, the NL Central, we've got a couple differences, but we feel similarly. So I'll start. I have the Brewers winning this division because, like you, I think they still have enough. They have a pitcher who can be very inconsistent at times, but when he's right, he can be dominant. Of old Freddie there. But they also still have Bryce Terang, who I think Bryce Terang is gonna bounce back and provide some of that offensive punch. I just have a feeling about Bryce Terang for the Milwaukee Brewers, and also Christian Yelich. Is it partially because I just liked Christian Yelich as a player, a one-time Marlin, by the way, another one they let get away. But Christian Yelich, I just like him. I think he provides enough punch still. Like you said, they still have Reese Hoskins. I think the Brewers have enough to get this division. Their pen has been strong over the last couple of years, like a plus of the team. And I think enough home runs will be hit. Bernie Brewer will be sliding down the slide. They get this division narrowly over the Cubs. The Cubs, you mentioned it. They've made some acquisitions. I think they do enough to potentially have a wild card spot. Do I have them in there? We'll find out later in the show. But I think they have enough to finish second in this division. The Cardinals were a big wild card for me. I have them finishing third. Like you mentioned, they did acquire Sandy Alcantara, but my big concern is Mason Wynn. Mason Wynn, their highly regarded shortstop, he really scuffled in the spring. They had him batting leadoff, and now it's been announced that he will be batting ninth. Like you said, Nolan Arenado, He's going to need some convincing to stay. And if some of the offensive pieces around Nolan Arenado don't pick it up, and Mason Wynn, in my opinion, I thought he was going to be the guy to pick it up and set the table for Nolan Arenado, but he has been dropped to 9th, and he also was injured a little bit, had a wrist thing this spring. So it could be tough. I think all of that amounts to a third place finish for the Cardinals. This is where we differ. I have the Pirates still finishing ahead of the Reds. You did a great job of breaking down the Pirates. I think their pitching is the difference. I think it's why they finish ahead of the Reds. Somebody like Paul Skeens, he was every bit worth the hype last year once he came in. Jarrett Jones was the wild card. He surprised a lot of people, but Jones is hurt, if I'm not mistaken, to start the year, or there's been some discomfort. So I don't know. We'll have to see what develops there. But the Reds, you hit on it. You hit on it perfectly. Even though Terry Francona is now the manager there, and he will have them contending in a couple of years, I don't think their time is now. Specifically with the bullpen, they had their closer, and they're not even sure after the spring that he's had. He was supposed to be one of the sure things on this team. They're not even sure that they're like he's got to start earning the saves. They're talking about opening the season with a closer by committee. I can't name a single starter in Cincinnati right now for the pitching rotation.
Hunter Green.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
They do have. They do have, however, some offensive talent. But like you said, Ellie De La Cruz, he might be one of the most fun players to watch in all of baseball, but his plate discipline has got to improve. Christian Encarnacion Strand, he's another highly regarded young talent, but where's the spot for him on this roster? It just too many wild cards, pun intended, with the Reds. I think they finish in last place this year in the NL Central.
All right. Now we're going to conclude our division preview with the National League West. And I'll have you talk about this division first, Dustin.
All right. We're going to kick it into high gear. The Dodgers, what can you say? They win this division. They just have too many horses. Their pitching staff is an embarrassment of riches. You just have to be able to account for the injuries that will invariably happen because Tyler Glasnow will get hurt, but he will pitch like an ace when he's healthy. If I'm the Dodgers, I don't even bother trying to have Shohei Ohtani pitch this year at all. I just keep him hitting. He did amazing. You don't know what he would do at the pitcher slot anyway, because it's kind of a wild card coming back from that injury, but they have enough pitching depth. They'll be fine. The Diamondbacks finish in second place. I think Corbin Carroll rebounds, has a bounce back season. Patrick Corbin is in Arizona right now. I think he could possibly be the ace that they would need. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark. That team, as constructed, can score. I think it's enough to kind of keep up with the Dodgers. They won't beat the Dodgers, but they'll keep up with them. The Giants, they're going to finish in third place in this division because they always manage to put some pieces together. They always have like pitchers. They rehabilitate pitchers all the time. They're notorious for it. I think they do enough to finish in third in this division. The Padres, I think they disappoint again. I think Tatis is probably going to get hurt again. Manny Machado, he's not enough on his own. They have a lot of talent. Yu Darvish is 38 years old, I believe. And I just don't think the Padres have a history of underperforming. I think this is another one. They don't have Blake Snell anymore because he's on the aforementioned Dodgers. I think the Padres finish in fourth. Rockies, what are you doing? Rockies? You traded Nolan Jones away. You traded him back to the team that you acquired him from. You traded him back to the Guardians. I don't understand what the Rockies are trying to do. I think they finish in last in this division by a bit.
All right, so I've got some differing points of view with the West. So yeah, the Dodgers, it's their division to lose. It's their World Series title to lose. They didn't need to add much in the offseason, but they still added Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki in an already loaded rotation. And like you said, Ohtani may not have to pitch this year. I think he will, just because lull because of the lulls. Just for lulls. We'll do a little trolling. It's called a little trolling.
Oh man.
He's gonna pitch. But yeah, this team is loaded. This team is probably gonna repeat. It's definitely gonna repeat as the West Division winner. Will they repeat as World Series champions? We'll find out. I've got Arizona pitching second place. Their 2024 season was disappointing. They added Corbin Burns to the rotation that needed help because last year they had a lot of health issues. They've got Corbin Carroll. They've got Kettle Marte. They've got Christian Walker leading the offense. I think they finished second, and they could possibly win on the wild card spot. Third place, I've got San Diego. I think this team is going to be more. I think you mentioned it, Dustin. They're going to be more disappointing than we think, and I think if their big personalities can learn to coexist in the same room, I think they could possibly win a wild card berth. We didn't expect them to win the wild card last year because they traded Juan Soto to the Yankees, but they did just enough to earn themselves a wild card spot and push the Dodgers to the fifth game in that NLDS. Had a chance to knock them off, but you didn't. So I think they I think they'll finish third, which will be disappointing for them. Fernando Tatis leads a potent offense. Even in pitcher-friendly Petco Park, they can't contain him. It can't contain him. Their season will definitely depend on pitching, like you said. Darvish. I believe I was looking at just the research just to make sure that he was definitely 38 years old. He is 38 years old.
This time I got it right.
Hey, all right. He has been experiencing some elbow inflammation. So It's going to be, we don't know what's going to be happening with him at the beginning of the year. So I think if their pitching stays healthy, they have a shot at a wild card berth. Giants added Willie Adames, but their rotation still remains a concern in my mind. It's Logan Webb, and that's it.
Yeah.
But if they can find a diamond in the rough in the rotation, I think their playoff chances improve. And that's for the Rockies. At least you got Coors Field. But they have a thin rotation and a thinner bullpen. I think that really keeps them at a distance from being in a playoff spot. I think they're going to be in contention for a full teardown and rebuild very, very soon. I think they might be in that category right now in terms of what they're doing. So I guess I can't name there's some teams where I can't name a distinguishable player on the team. I can't name anybody.
Yeah.
The Marlins I can't name. The Rockies I can't name anybody on that team. The White Sox, it's Luis Robert Jr. And that's it.
Yeah, the only reason I can name some of the names that I've named is because of fantasy baseball. That's how I knew that Yuri Perez is coming back. And since we're in separate leagues, Ryan, like I told you, he might be coming back in July. If he comes back to any semblance of what he was, go stash him in late June. Put him on your bench. You might have a nice little pitcher to get you to a playoff run. Or I could be totally wrong.
We're not a fantasy baseball show, folks.
Yeah, we're not. We're not. We leave that to Vince and Kevin for that.
It's true. It's true. One of those guys might be a part of No Credentials Required during the baseball season. So stay tuned to this channel to find out who and when you can tune in. All right, we're talking about our division winners, our wild card, and our pennant winners. All started off. I've got in the American League. I've got the division winners: Baltimore, Cleveland, Texas. My wild cards are the Yankees, Kansas City, and Detroit.
Okay.
National League. Division winners: Atlanta, the Cubs, the Dodgers. Wild cards: Mets, Phillies, Diamondbacks. My pennant winners: American League, I've got Baltimore winning the pennant. National League, I've got the Dodgers winning the pennant. Spoiler alert, they're also going to win the World Series this year.
Oh, the Dodgers you have, huh?
Yeah, the Dodgers win the World Series.
Okay.
But anything can happen. Like the most predictable thing about the future is that it's unpredictable. I heard a wise man say that. one time. All right, Dustin, over to you. Who's your
All
division
right.
winners, your wild card, your pennant winners, and your eventual World Series champions?
I'm going to go quick, just like you did. The
Hey.
AL division winners for me, I have the Baltimore Orioles. I have the Kansas City Royals. I have the Seattle Mariners. My AL wild card teams are our beloved New York Yankees, the Texas Rangers, and the Detroit Tigers.
Okay.
All right, now moving over to the NL wild card or the NL division winners. My apologies. I have the Atlanta Braves, I have the Brew Crew, and I have the Los Angeles Dodgers. Of course, wouldn't that be funny if I psyched everyone out and said we're Angels? And now the NL wild card teams. I have the D-backs, I have the Mets, and I have the Chicago Cubs. So there we go. My pennant winners. I have Baltimore winning the American League pennant. I have the Dodgers winning the National League pennant. My NLCS was Dodgers versus the Braves. My ALCS was Orioles versus the Rangers. And now we have the World Series. I have the exact same World Series as you, but here's where we differ. I have
Oh.
Orioles versus the Dodgers, but I have Baltimore coming out on top. And if you'll indulge me before you get to your MVP awards and things, if you'll indulge me, I have reasons why. Okay, now, first one, Grayson Rodriguez makes the leap and becomes an ace for the Baltimore Orioles pitching staff. Now, I understand that he's probably going to miss most of the first month of the season, but when he comes back, he was another one that was working on a new pitch. I think he makes the leap this year. It's just a feeling that I have. The other big factors, Jackson Holiday, and let me caveat this. This all has to happen for the Orioles to knock the Dodgers off. Jackson Holiday makes the roster and continues his hot spring. Look up his spring. He's been raking. He finished spring over 300. He looked a lot better than that little cup of coffee when he came up last year and looked like he was lost.
Cup of coffee in the
If
big
if he keeps that going, it's going to be a big reason why Baltimore, I think, is going to be the team to beat this year. Adley Rutschman continues to do Adley Rutschman things. He continues to be the leader of that team, and I think he's going to rebound a little bit after last year. If you look at his stats, everything was just a little bit down from where it's been the previous 2 years. I think he rebounds a bit this year, and I also think that Gunnar Henderson is going to play like an MVP. I think he and Judge were right alongside each other for MVP honors last year for a while there. I think he continues to do that. Also, Tyler Wells and Bradish are both protected. They were both pitchers that they lost last year, and both are returning. They're returning at points in this season. I can't remember when each is respectively expected to return. They're starting the season on the IL, but with both of those guys coming back, they could provide the Orioles some pitching depth, especially Tyler Wells, if he returns to the form that he had in 2023, because the Orioles, they'll need some pitching at that time, especially if Grayson Rodriguez doesn't do what I think he's going to do once he returns healthy. But I think Baltimore is going to have enough offense to keep the team going, in spite of their pitching staff kind of being pieced together by my eye. And the Dodgers, here's a couple factors why I think the Dodgers might not repeat. Something is wrong with Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts has come out and said that he has lost, I think he's lost 23 pounds in the last couple of weeks. They thought he had his stomach virus, but clearly something's going on. And I hope Mookie Betts gets it figured out, because you should not be losing that amount of weight in a couple of weeks.
No.
So hopefully everything is okay with Mookie Betts, but something is wrong with him to start the season. And I said it earlier, Tyler Glasnow, he's going to get hurt at some point. The Dodgers are going to deal with pitching injuries. They always do. Even though it seems they have an embarrassment of riches, they always deal with pitching injuries at some point, especially with Glasnow on that staff. Freddie Freeman, the the Dodgers have an embarrassment of offense, but I just have a feeling that the Orioles may have enough to knock them off. I've got the Orioles as my champions of the baseball world.
So before I go to my extra credit, there's more breaking news, Dustin.
Oh no! Oh no! What did I?
And if I knew some of this news was going to come out, I would have changed the format and brought on the NFL free agency tracker. But there's more breaking news. Let's put that bumper. For Adam Schefter. So I said it right this time.
Yes.
Stefon Diggs is now a New England Patriot.
Whoa.
3 years, $69 million. Real nice. Including $20 million guaranteed. So Drake May has a target.
Wow. They finally have a receiver in New England. They've been searching since the end of the Belichick era. But I did not see this coming at all.
I didn't either.
I thought that Houston was going to try to re-sign Stefon Diggs. Wow.
I think they're cap strapped.
Yeah, that's true. I do remember on one of our shows, I think we discussed that they were dealing with some cap issues. But man, oh man, Drake May, how much does this help him? I mean, Patriots fans were looking for a splash. This is it. You've got your number one now, unquestioned.
That's all right. Sauce will lock him up.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize, this is what I didn't realize until I released, I talked about this news with the Giants. Do you realize that this season, regardless of who starts, if they draft Shedeur Sanders, if they draft Cam Ward, they still have Jameis Winston, they still have Russell Wilson. The Giants, for the first time in team history, they've been around, it's the 101st year this year. For the first time in team history, they will have a starting quarterback on opening day who is black.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I did not know that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Never in New York Giants history as the first game as a black quarterback started the first game of the season. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be guaranteed to happen if you have Winston, or whoever they draft first overall. If they decide to draft a quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I did not know. I would have thought that at some point throughout their history, that would have happened already. Well,
nope.
you know, I guess it's a new era in New York.
I'm
glad for that. But I don't know, man. Jameis and Russell together in the same quarterback room. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see who wins that job, because it's clear that Russell Wilson is far removed from Seahawks Russell Wilson. I still think he has enough to beat out Jameis, but I don't know. I mean, Jameis will get the ball to Malik Neighbors without question. He'll throw the ball to him so much that he'll have like 2,000 yards, but he might also throw a bunch of interceptions while he's trying to get him the ball. So I don't know, man. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah. All right, extra credit time for me. So I've got my AL MVP, my predictions for league MVPs, Cy Young winners, and rookies of the year. In the American League, actually, their MVP, the MVP, I've got Bobby Witt Jr. predicted as the AL MVP. This is especially if they can win that division, is AL Central. And it's going to be a close division. I think if their offense can beat out Cleveland's, I still have Cleveland in first, but I think if Bobby Witt has an extraordinary season, could be a 30-30 guy, could be a 40-40 guy. He's got that kind of offensive talent. NL MVP, it's going to be Shohei Ohtani. Let's just give him the award right now. Unless he suffers a catastrophic injury, he's winning MVP. My Cy Young winners, American League, it's going to be Tariq Skubal again.
Yeah.
Won it last year, had a tremendous season last year, especially in the late stages of the season. I think it carries that over into 2025, and he does it throughout the season. So I've got Tariq Skubal as my AL Cy Young winner. NL Cy Young winner, it's going to be Paul Skeens.
Yeah. I mean, I see no one to oppose him.
Now, for the Rookie of the Year, I've got Jason Dominguez winning the AL Rookie of the Year. You talked
Ah,
about
there
him.
you go.
You talked about him in the American League East preview. You're going to get a full season of him starting this year. Last year had been called up last year, had a setback with an injury, came back, was featured in September. I didn't see him much in the playoffs, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't think I
If I can
did.
correctly recall, I don't think he showed up much in the playoffs, but he's going to be an important part of this Yankees roster, especially without Juan Soto. They're going to have somebody step up offensively.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be Jason Dominguez. I think he's going to have I think, and here's the interesting thing. I saw something on Twitter the other day that ever since he started growing his beard, Jason Dominguez is now hitting 295 in spring training.
No. Oh man.
And all of his defensive blurs and the little blips in the outfield or at left field all seem to disappeared. He's all good now.
There we go.
Magic of the beard, my friends. And the National League Rookie of the Year, I've got between one of two people. It could be either Matt Shaw or corner of the Cubs. I believe he plays first base, or it'll be Connor Norby of Miami. It's gonna be one of those two. It's gonna be one of those two. I've got Connor Norby. I guess I mentioned before. I've got Connor Norby on my fantasy baseball team as a auxiliary player, and Matt Shaw. I think I said, he's playing first base for the Cubs this year. He's their featured guy at that corner, at the first base corner. So I've got one of those two. I think it's gonna be Matt Shaw, but I think Connor Norby could be another guy who's a contention Rookie of the Year. You could probably say the same thing for Jackson Holiday in the American League as well, because I don't think he played a full season last year, so he might be eligible this year for the award. But he's a guy certainly to watch. So that's been our baseball preview for 2025. So we're going to close the show out with our favorite athletes to wear the number 22. This is the 22nd recording of No Credentials Required for 2025. We're going through our favorite athletes to correspond with the episode number. Today is number 20. Today is number 22. And Dustin, I'm going to hand it over to you to see who your favorite athlete to wear number 22 was.
Well, I was thinking, and I'm saying, am I going to do Emmitt Smith? And I said, no, I'm not going to do Emmitt Smith. And I was going back and forth. And I landed on one former Oakland A and former New York Met and former, I'm trying to think of some of the other teams he was on.
New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox, Toronto
Yeah.
Blue Jays.
Yep. You know exactly who I'm talking about. It's got to be Ricky Henderson. It's got to be Ricky Henderson, the base stealer, the artiste. And also, I was trying to think of a clever way to shout out Ricky's infamous speech when he became the all-time steals leader. And he said simply, today, I am the greatest of all time. Thank you. He was just, he was a Hall of Fame player, but also a Hall of Fame personality. The stories about Ricky are infamous, but don't let that overshadow. The man had skills. He was one of the greatest to ever play the game. He was, anytime he got on the base paths, I don't care how old he was a threat. He was a joy to watch. He was one of those people, a classic, like we're going to get to in a couple short episodes. I keep saying it. Ricky was one of those players that I appreciated more as I got older and realized that I am watching truly one of the greats. The stories out there are legendary. You had John Olerud once, Ricky came up to him after they were reunited on the Mets. He came up to him supposedly and he said, "Hey, I had a teammate that wore a helmet too, in the field." And when he was fielding it at first base, and John Olerud reportedly said, "Ricky, that was me." There's so many stories. Like I think it was with the A's. He got his rookie deal, and he was so happy that he framed his first paycheck. Well, at the end of the season, the A's came and they said, "Hey, Ricky, our books are off balance. Like, did you cash this check? What happened?" And he had it framed there. He was just a different personality. Was confident and not shy about it. But the thing is, with players like that, whether it be Dion, whether it be Ricky Henderson, whether it be anyone with a big personality like that, if you can back it up, you have my respect. And Ricky more than backed it up on plenty of occasions. He was a joy to watch play. Ricky Henderson is my pick.
There's this story about Ricky Henderson. We don't know if it's true or not because we'll never find out. We'll never find out for ourselves.
Yeah.
But there's a story. Supposedly, somebody quoted John 3:16 from the Bible to Ricky Henderson, and he replied, "Ricky don't want to hear nothing about no John hitting 3:16. Ricky's hitting 3:30."
Oh man.
If that story is true, then I even mad.
Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta all the Ricky stories. You gotta be like, did he actually say that? Did he actually do that? And apparently, supposedly some people said he wasn't the best teammate. He was apparently playing cards in the clubhouse during a playoff push. I mean, but who knows? Either way, the guy could flat out play the game. He hit for average. He could steal more than anybody.
And hit per power, one of the best leadoff hitters for power in league history.
Yeah. Amazing.
Come on. All right, my number 22. Going to basketball for this one.
Oh, nice.
You might know where I'm going here. Played for the University of Houston, part of the Phi Slamma Jamma crew.
Okay.
Drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers, played there for a decade, got traded to Houston in 1995, helped the Rockets win a title, and also was part of the Dream Team. Although he didn't wear number 22 in the Dream Team, he's still the best in my opinion in regards to favorite athletes to wear that number. Clyde the Glide Drexler.
Yeah.
And he was criminally underrated in that era.
I think
You had Magic, you had Bird, you had Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley. Like those are the guys that you thought that you immediately come to mind when you say, "All right, give me a player from the late 80s, early 1990s to mid 1990s who was dominant in their position." And people will say those four.
Yeah.
Nobody ever talks or Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh yeah, you got him.
Nobody ever talks about Clyde Drexler. And he would have been, I think he would have had more titles if he hadn't run into the Pistons in 1991. He didn't run, or they didn't run into the Magic-led team in 1990. Sorry, 1990. They were beaten in 5 by the Pistons. They didn't run into the Lakers team in the Western Conference Final in 1991. If they didn't run into the Bulls in 1992.
Yeah.
The I think they played the Suns in 93 and the Rockets in 94, if I'm not mistaken. But he came to a point where it was professionally, he was frustrated. And the Houston Rockets in 1994, for the 1994-95 season, criminally underachieved that year after winning the title in 7 games to the year before. Criminally underachieving in that Western Conference that year. I think they had struggled with a lot of injuries, if I'm not mistaken. And then towards the trade deadline, you bring in Clyde Drexler coming home to the Houston area where he played his college ball. And yes, they finished 6th in the conference that year. And they finished 3rd in the division, in the Midwest division. They were the 6th seed going in, and they ran the table the rest of the way. And it's incredible. It's incredible the run he had with the team for as long as he did, and then stuck around to the end of his career. And but he was just some phenomenal player in the perimeter, known for his thunderous dunks. And just an outstanding athlete.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. He was underappreciated because I think a lot of people compared him unjustly so to like Michael Jordan or and I'll never forget candidly I did not see Clyde play all that much because like you said he was he was in Portland for a lot of years, which I think hurt him back in the day, because Portland, we're not in the landscape that we were in now. Portland wasn't getting like the game of the week, or like
No.
the Sunday game. So people didn't see him play as much as they should have. But I remember in that 30 for 30, which I keep shouting out, Shaq or somebody else on the Magic talks about when they went up against the Rockets in that finals. And he said,
it was probably Shaq. Yeah.
yeah. And he said, we knew that Clyde was going to go left. We let him go left. Like we tried, we knew he liked to shoot the ball from that area, but we couldn't get over to stop him. He basically said, we knew what we screwed up. And as soon as Clyde got to his spot, we knew it was over, so it just, Clyde, like you said, criminally underrated. Clyde the Glide.
So he, in 15 seasons, he never missed the playoffs. And I got the date wrong. It wasn't at the trade deadline 95. It was February 14th, 1995. So we passed the
Valentine's
30th.
Day.
Yeah, we passed the 30th anniversary of that trade. He wanted to be traded out because they were out of contention. Blazers were out of contention for a title, and Clyde wanted to be sent to a team that he knew he could win a championship, and went back to Houston, reunited with Hakeem Olajuwon, who was his teammate at the University of Houston. Was that part of that Phi Sigma Gamma team, one of the greatest teams in the 1980s to never win an NCAA title. They lost in that miracle run by NC State in '83, and then ran into just an incredible Georgetown team in '84. So he never wanted. He got this close to an NCAA title twice, didn't make it, and just had the rest of his career from 1985. I'm sorry, from '83. Actually, no, he didn't play in '84. I'm sorry. He was drafted in '83.
Okay.
Spent the first 11 seasons in Portland. Was traded to Houston in year 12 and played the rest of his career in Houston. But he was part of the teams where he couldn't quite get past a certain team. He couldn't get past NC. He couldn't beat NC State in the national championship in '83. He ran into a bunch of teams like the Lakers and the Pistons and all those teams in the early 80s and 90s, and then ran into the Bulls in '92. Couldn't beat them. Yeah, but him finish his career with finally get that championship in 1995. I remember that series because I graduated from high school in '95, so showing my age here. But I remember that team. They did underachieved in the regular season, but then they pick up Clyde Drexler for 35 games. They go on this tear. They go to distance in the first round and the second rounds of the playoffs. They beat San Antonio, who was a heavy favorite to win an NBA title at that time. And then they sweep Orlando in the finals. So, but Clyde Drexler was a part of that team, and he was just known for his athletic ability, very good defensive player, could score the lights out if he needed to. He scored 41 points in Game 4 of the 1995 first round against Utah, which brought the Rockets to a Game 5. So my mind, Clyde Drexler, he's my favorite to win the number 22.
Nice. Love for Clyde the Glide.
Gotta have some love for the man. So here's what's going on. So Saturday we'll have a regular show. Tuesday we'll have our regular show as well. But next week, I'm on my way out of town. So what we're going to do is record an episode on Wednesday, which will be posted on Saturday. It'll be pre-recorded on Saturday on the Belly Up YouTube page. It'll also be available on your podcast, or me talking about the Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix. We've been talking about it. Dustin and I have been talking about doing this documentary, breaking it down. We're finally going to do it because I finally got the courage to subscribe to Netflix again. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. It'll be next Saturday's show because I'll be out of town. And on Wednesday and the following week, we'll have a show on Wednesday, the 10th, because that's what I'm sorry, Wednesday the 9th, because I'll be back in town on the 8th, which is when you usually record. But what are we going to talk about then? We don't know.
Yeah.
But We'll have our
figure it out.
Saturday show. We'll have our Saturday show this Saturday, which at a regular slot, which is 10 a.m. Eastern. What are we going to talk about?
There'll be a hot food take.
There will definitely be a hot food take again. It won't be extended like last week.
Yeah. And there might be a version of the list. Perhaps. We've got one in the docket, but will that be what we talk about? Who knows? You'll have to tune in to find out.
It's true. You know what? Might as well bring back that element.
You just made the list!
Oh my gosh. Gotta love Chris Jericho.
That one always gets me. And don't forget, everybody, about OV Goal Watch 2025.
Yes.
Come on. Somebody enter, please.
That's right. Please enter. Because we don't want to waste this element.
OV Gold Watch 2025.
Haven't played that in a while because Chase has tailed off a little bit. I think he's down to 8.
Yeah, I think, or somebody told me he's 7 away now, and I was like, I didn't know that.
Yep, 7 away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Get your entries in.
Yep, get him in. Actually scored on Friday? No, Thursday. Excuse me. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sorry. But he's playing tonight. He's actually going to face off in about nowish because they're playing Winnipeg. So, but yeah, get your entry in. You can win a fabulous prize package from us at No Credentials Required from some of our sponsors. But in the meantime, we're gonna get out of here. Just want to remind you to follow us on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Search No Credentials Required. And then on bellyupsports.com, find our other podcasts and also written articles. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And also, don't forget to hit that notification bell, whether you're on Twitter or YouTube. That way you know when the live show goes up or when other announcements go up concerning in regards to the show. On the podcast side, rate and review, leave a comment, 5-star rating, leave a review if you can on a platform where you can do that. And on Spotify, you can leave a comment. If you're watching on a replay on the Belly Up YouTube page or YouTube channel, leave a comment below with your predictions for the 2025 season. And also put in your guess for OV Goal Watch 2025.
Yes.
But in the meantime, we're going to get out of here. Thank you for tuning in to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back here Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, where we talk about sports, food, culture, other things. Tune in. You'll have a blast with us. Until then, have a great week. We'll see you on Saturday.
Good night, everybody.